everything you were ever taught about dieting is wrong. Not just a little off, not just outdated, wrong in ways that are keeping you stuck and quietly damaging your health. From the time we are girls, we are handed a set of rules. Count your calories, avoid bread, earn your food at the gym. And if it's not working, you better try harder. I have been a physician for over 25 years, and I'm telling you, those rules were never based on how your body actually works. Today, I want to walk you through what the science actually says and what I've built my entire practice around instead. I'm Dr. Jenn. I help adults and families transform their metabolic health using joyful medicine that honors their lives, their cultures, and their humanity. This is where evidence-based lifestyle medicine meets community, joy, and real life. So let's get started. The first thing I want to talk about is calories in, calories out. This was never invented for real life. Granted, it comes from medicine. It's the framework that we were all taught, and it's what a lot of my colleagues still counsel on today. The idea seems so simple. Eat less, move more, and then you lose weight, right? On paper, it seems to make sense, right? But the human body never was meant to operate this way. When you restrict calories, your body tries to compensate. Your body interprets it as a threat. It actually downregulates your metabolism. It increases hunger hormones like ghrelin, and it becomes more efficient at storing fat instead of ridding the body of fat. So you are not failing. You are running into basic physiology that medicine largely ignored when it handed you a calorie target and sent you home. The long-term data on calorie restriction is pretty consistent. Most people regain the weight within 2 to 5 years, often gaining more than they actually lost. We've known this for decades, and yet the prescription has not changed. The same disconnect shows up with how medicine has treated cultural foods. This really frustrates me because woman after woman comes to me with these same frustrations. Clinical nutrition guidelines were based largely on research from Western populations that eat Western diets. And those guidelines got applied universally, so as if rice and beans or plantains or lentils were somehow nutritionally suspect because they didn't appear in the original studies. In fact, I was talking with a colleague the other day who, she's an amazing physician, but she feels so much guilt and shame around her cultural foods. She is from Colombia and grew up eating rice and beans, and she has been led to believe that these foods are unhealthy. She said, my family is really unhealthy, the foods that they eat. Imagine a physician feeling guilty about one of the most nutrient-dense, fiber-rich, blood sugar stabilizing food combinations on the planet. That is not a personal failure. Unfortunately, that's what happens when medical education absorbs a narrow evidence base and presents it as a universal truth. Her grandmother's kitchen is probably healthier than a lot of ours. The other thing I want to talk about is willpower. This is where medicine really completely dropped the ball. When the interventions aren't working, the system doesn't question the interventions. It questions the patient. Non-compliance, lax motivation, poor health behaviors. We put a systemic failure on the individual and call it a diagnosis. This is really a problem. It doesn't ask questions like, how do chronic stress and cortisol affect fat storage and hunger signaling? How about, what does it mean to somebody to eat differently when food is culture, memory, and the way the family shows love? And the other thing is we always neglect that this brain is connected to this body. So how we feel about our healing is as important as the steps that we take. When medicine treats them separately, this is really a big part of the reason why standard approaches don't work. So what actually works? This is what I've built my practice around. I practice what I call joyful medicine. Lifestyle medicine that works with your biology, not against it. Instead, we treat food as something that belongs in the context of real life. Your culture, your family, your schedule, your history, your joy. The pillars are pretty straightforward. They're lifestyle medicine pillars, but applied again with life in mind. Whole food nutrition that focuses on plant heavy, legumes, fiber, the rainbow fruits and veggies. Movement that you actually like to do. Sleep and stress management. And the nervous system regulation. This piece is so important because chronic stress and shame actively impair your body's ability to regulate hunger, blood sugar, and weight. People make sustainable changes from a place of care for themselves, not punishment. So this channel is where I'm going to keep breaking down these principles, the research, the clinical context, and practical tools you can actually use. We'll cover everything from metabolic health to the medications that support it, to gut health, to plant-based nutrition, to how to eat for your hormones, and how to navigate all of this if you grew up in a household where food looked different from what you've been told was healthy. I'm going to give you the medicine without the restriction or shame. If that's something that you've been looking for, subscribe and come back for more. And better yet, share it with anybody that you think may benefit. But first, I want to know, what's one food rule that you were taught that you have started to question? Comment below. I read all of the comments. If this resonates with you and you are looking for a structured place to get started, I put together something called the Anti-Diet Reset. It's a short, bite-sized course that walks you through the foundational shifts I teach each of my patients. How to start unlearning the rules, how to think about food differently, and how to build from there. Just check it out in the description. You can get started right away. If you have any questions, make sure to drop them below, or you can drop me an email. My email's in the description as well. I'm Dr. Jenn. See you in the next video.